Hey guys, welcome back. So, instead of a podcast today, I wanted to talk about the social media ban that everyone is scared of right now. Before we go into the video, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel because you know what? 50% of you who are watching are not subscribed. So, please do subscribe and please click that button. Without further ado, let's get right into today's video. Okay, so before everyone panics, the social media platforms are not getting banned. Chill. At least for right now, they are not. To understand what is happening here, let's understand the concept of intermediaries, social media intermediaries, and the law. The guidelines for social media intermediaries were passed by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology on 25th February early this year. The ministry had asked social media intermediaries to comply with a few guidelines. Okay, so what are social media intermediaries? But before that, what are intermediaries? Intermediaries are those in between platforms that connect people. Let's take an example, Amazon. When you buy from Amazon app, you don't buy from Amazon directly. Amazon is not a seller. But notice, there are different sellers and manufacturers that upload items to sell. And Amazon just hosts all the items on the platform, essentially acting as an intermediary. We are the end users, the consumers, and the manufacturers and the sellers are the people uploading the details regarding their items. There's a different portal called the Amazon Seller Central that when you log in, you have to abide by the terms and conditions of the same.
Okay, so this is the particular website that you have to sign up to become an Amazon seller. I'm not going to go through the entire process because it's very long and tedious and I don't want to become an Amazon seller. But amidst the process, there's going to be one particular agreement called the Amazon Services Business Solution Agreement that Amazon makes all its sellers sign before they become a seller. So this is the terms of use and an agreement that all sellers have to sign before they can start posting their items on Amazon. It's a very long and tedious particular agreement to explain and to understand also, but I'm going to focus on just two sections. First one is limitation of liability.
Now, what this limitation of liability means is that Amazon is not going to be responsible for any action that arises out of this agreement. So once a seller joins the platform, Amazon is not going to be responsible for absolutely any of the seller's actions. They are a separate entity and Amazon is a separate entity. Now, to further double down on this, there is a section called indemnification where Amazon says that if by chance Amazon is caught in the crossfire of some kind of mischief or illegal activity or tortious activity or wrongdoing by the seller, and there's any claim that is arising out of that towards Amazon, so there's some kind of claim that has been put on Amazon, the seller has to indemnify that they will defend and hold Amazon harmless of the same. So here we see how Amazon is being an intermediary. It's just a platform where sellers are putting their information, putting their items up for sale, and Amazon is just displaying their products.
So, to understand why Amazon has included these particular sections in their business solution agreement is because of Section 79 of the Information Technology Act. Now, what the Section 79 of Information Technology Act says about intermediaries is that when intermediary does not initiate the transmission or select the receiver or modifies the information in such a way that it changes the transmission or affects the person who's receiving the transmission, they can claim exemption from liability that arises out of that particular action. Okay, so just as we looked at the Amazon business solution agreement. This is the terms of use of Instagram, and it clearly says that when you join Instagram, these are the terms of service that you abide by and then you agree to when you use Instagram. These are fairly basic. It's not a long terms of use, and if you're using Instagram, I suggest you to go through the entire thing once, and it doesn't harm to know what the terms of use are for a platform. The most important point that I want to focus on is the seventh point, where Instagram then says that we are responsible for our own conduct. So if we are posting, we as users, if we are posting any content online on Instagram, we are going to be the ones responsible for the same, and Instagram is not going to be responsible for the same. So here, this is an example of a social media intermediary where Instagram says that the users uploading data are going to be responsible and liable for any illegal activity or wrongdoing or negligence on their end. This is an example of a social media intermediary. So Amazon was an intermediary, and this is a social media intermediary. Okay, so we've looked at Amazon and we've looked at Instagram. Now we're going to look at WhatsApp's terms of service. Now again, this is a fairly long terms of service, but I want to focus on just one small part which says that our messages are end-to-end encrypted. So no platform, no organization, not even WhatsApp, not Facebook that owns WhatsApp, no platform can check out the messages that we are sending to each other. This is an important point since the new social media intermediary guidelines, they say that in special circumstances the government would want to know the first originator, so the person who is first making the message and putting it out there and sharing it. So they want to know the location, they want to know the person who's sent that particular message. So this is where WhatsApp and the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology are having a tussle between them. This is where the important point is of the new rules and this WhatsApp terms of service. This particular point. I would ask you to go through the entire thing on a weekend when you have time, through all of them, through Instagram to WhatsApp, and even normally when we're using Amazon, you can go through them when you have the time. It never hurts to have the extra information. So we'll go through the social media intermediary guidelines right now. Right. So this is the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines, and yes, it does have a digital media ethics code as well. But this topic is not in debate right now because most of the OTTs like Netflix and Amazon Prime have agreed to what the ethics code has laid down. So the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology released these particular guidelines as rules on 25th February. Now, I don't want to go through the entire thing because again it's very long, but then I want to focus on Rule 4, Sub Rule 2, which says that a significant social media intermediary has to provide the information of the first originator to the competent authority that is described under Section 69 of these rules. Okay, now these are the circumstances under which the social media intermediary, significant social media intermediary. So significant social media intermediary is that kind of social media intermediary that has more than 50 lakh registered users, and WhatsApp definitely falls in that particular ambit. So this is the reason why WhatsApp has filed a case against Government of India in the High Court. Okay, we've understood why WhatsApp has got a problem with these rules, but there are certain due diligences that an intermediary has to perform under these rules to retain the status of an intermediary. So Rule 3 talks about all the due diligences that the intermediaries have to do, but Rule 4 talks about additional due diligences that the significant social media intermediaries have to do. And who are the significant social media intermediaries? Those who have 50 lakh registered users or more. They have to appoint a chief compliance officer, they have to appoint a nodal contact person, they have to appoint a resident grievance officer for all different reasons. Okay, and these are few other rules and due diligences that the significant social media intermediaries have to perform when the rules come into force. When are the rules going to come into force? A notification said that 3 months from when these rules are posted in the Gazette, when they are published in the Gazette, the rules will come into place, into force. Now, what happens when the significant social media intermediaries don't abide by the due diligences? Rule 7 talks about that. When an intermediary fails to observe the rules, the provisions of subsection 1 of 79. So, that talked about the exemption of liability that we looked at for the intermediaries. So it just says that the intermediaries will lose their intermediary status. So nowhere has it ever said, has the rules ever laid down that the social medias are going to be banned. So the rules are not talking about social media being banned, but them losing intermediary status. Now we are not sure what's going to happen once they lose their intermediary status. One thing is for sure, that then they'll be liable for all the conduct done by their users. So if tomorrow we as Instagram or Twitter or Facebook users post something, and if they don't have an intermediary status, them themselves and we both are going to be held liable for any illegal or wrongdoing activity that goes on. One can even argue, because they don't have an intermediary status, they are going to be liable for all the wrongdoing that the users do. So this is what the entire racket has been about. This is the chaos. Now, WhatsApp's case is going on in the High Court. So these things, remember guys, these things take time. Okay, nothing happens overnight, and let's see what happens in the coming days. But I hope that this video has provided you with at least some insight as to what the new rules have said, what the terms of service of the few different applications are, and the concept of intermediaries that I've tried to explain. Please do keep watching guys, please subscribe, please like the video, please share it as much as you can if you found this helpful, if you found this insightful, and let me know if these kind of videos are what you prefer. I would love to do much more in-depth research about different topics and post that on the channel. Take care guys, until next time.